Howdy, hi, and welcome back to the new year, guys, or welcome to the new year, I should say. Hello to 2025. I did not think I would see this year. I'm sure many of you didn't, but we're here. Let's go because Onward is getting a bit of a glow up. As you can see, we got a video. Woo! If you're not watching the video, tune in. We are on Scout Shenaniganon on YouTube, and you might be like, what the heck is that? It's in the description. I know it's a weird spelling, but just go with it. It's pretty lit. We'll have a lot of baking and vlog related content on there, vlogs, whatever. But that's not why we're here. We are here because we gotta talk and wrap up 2024. It was a bit of a crazy year, and I know that I kind of disappeared. I think the last time I posted was actually in January or February, and that doesn't mean that I wasn't recording after that. I actually have a bunch of episodes recorded basically from over the months, but it was really, really hard for me to post. And I just want to say that's because I had some of the lowest lows, but also some of the highest highs this year. So I really wanted to document both of those because if there's one thing that Onward is about, it is, after all, moving forward, onward, and getting past those things, but also talking about them so that we can kind of process them together and make it all seem a bit more normal than it may feel in the moment, because things can be very rationally irrational. That's one of my favorite things to say, is like, it's okay to feel crazy or to do something that others might deem a little, out of place at times, because you're feeling out of place, you're feeling out of character, but it's not, it's something that you have to look back on and think about. So we're going to do that together because I want to hold myself accountable, and maybe that can help some of you. Anyways, let's get to it, because going balls to the wall this year has taken me all over the place. Like I said, highest highs are some of the lower lows. But if there's one thing, I just want to say that, like, everyone can shut me out this year. They have tried, but you know what? We are here, we're back, and you cannot shut me out. You can shut me up, but you cannot shut me out. Onward is back. Let's go. 2025. We're going stronger than ever. We're going harder than ever. We're fueling ourselves, and we are just taking care of ourselves like never before, because you know what? That's okay. And that's pretty cool. And it's really, really freaking important. So let's talk about it, because I left you guys in January. And in January, I actually left and checked in to institution, hospital, whatever, and took some time for myself. I was there for about 2 months, and that was not my first time doing that. But what was really interesting is, like, it was way harder this time. And one of the things that I always talk about with my parents or with my family or friends from treatment or my therapist, etc., is, like, you have to be ready to accept help, and therapy is not just going to work, or any type of exposure, whatever, processing is not really going to work unless you're ready to a certain extent, or not just ready, but at least ready to accept the help. And I was not ready to accept help for a lot of things. I think especially for, like, my eating issues for about 4 years, since I was maybe 14 or 15. And it's not that I was in denial. I was fully aware, but I was in denial to the fact that, like, oh yeah, not that I'm fine. I knew I wasn't, but that I can be the exception, like so many think they are, and, like, get through this and think I'm okay, and that I'm not going to have health issues and all these things. But once I got to kind of some of my high highs, like I was talking about this year, I realized how unsustainable that is. And also through my lower lows, like, I really realized how important it is just to fuel myself, and not only to be with the people I love in a fulfilling way and be in the moment, but also I love to learn, and I love doing arts and crafts or going outside. And, if I'm not eating, I'm not capable of doing those things. And I just think it's kind of interesting, because I've been lifting for a while, and not related really to the eating, but, like, it's, and something that's interesting, well, not really interesting nor coincidental, it's just science, is, like, because I'm feeling myself properly, I'm gaining the muscle that I've been wanting to for so long, and from the effort I've been putting in, and I'm stronger than ever. And, like, that is the coolest feeling, especially as someone that's wanted that for so long and denied myself in such a naive and blind way. It feels so silly all of a sudden, but it's really beautiful. And like I said, I think the most important thing for me is being able to be with the people I love in a proper way. There were a few years ago, and over the years, where I'd go on trips with my family or just being with my family on special occasions, and I was a shadow of myself. I wasn't even that. It was like talking to someone who, I think the most fulfilling thing though is, as I said, being able to be with the people I love, friends, family, whoever, in a proper, mindful, and fully fulfilling way. Because in the past, I was kind of sitting, not even as like a shadow of myself, just a void. There was no one there. And if you've ever been hanging out with someone that doesn't want to be somewhere, it was so much worse than that, because I was trying to convince myself I wanted to be there and the other people that I wanted to be there. So it was just quite miserable, and I was so blind to it at the time. But now being able to kind of see the world in Technicolor again, when Dorothy goes into Oz and over the rainbow, it's just beautiful. And I just recently was with my family for the holidays, and everyone kind of, without saying things in the beginning, was just acknowledging the fact that it was a much more involved trip for everyone. And that was really special, because one of the things that was so hard for me all this time was feeling like a burden, in the sense of, I don't want to ruin the activities for other people, because no matter what, when you're struggling, like if someone cares about you, of course they're going to be a bit sad, and it's going to feel a bit off. If your friend's upset or gets hurt somewhere, it's going to change the vibe, the mood of the time, and that's because they care about you. But I think I just got to a point where that outweighed what I perceived as good in my coping, my poor coping mechanisms. And so that switch flipped this year also, because, as I'll talk about, I had this pretty lit internship this summer, and I couldn't really joke around or mess around, and I just realized, like, get your stuff together, girl. Speaking of that internship, let's talk a bit about that. I applied for it before I was like checked in and had my little bracelet on and my grippy socks, but I had applied, and I remember my mom, like, at some point when I was in program, and my father, and, like, me and therapist, because there's always that voice of self-doubt, and this doubt from my parents wasn't we don't believe in you, you're a failure, but more so, let's be legit, do you even know yourself anymore, and do you genuinely think this is something you can do? Is it even responsible for you to do this? Because I was doing something in the legal field, and obviously if I'm trying to help others, if I'm not even helping myself, how the heck am I going to have the energy to help someone else? As RuPaul said, if you cannot love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? And that is so true, and that's, again, kind of what gave me this motivation to get better in a way, because this internship, I was doing, like, pro bono work, and that is essentially what I've dreamed of doing my whole life. I remember for as long as I can, like, since I was little, everyone, except for that one time in preschool, I did say I wanted to be a squirrel when I grew up, but you know what? I didn't fully understand what a furry was at the time. Things have changed. I can't be a squirrel, although I do really want to go windsurfing. Anyways, back to lawyering up. I was really passionate about that, and I was like, yeah, this is what I've wanted to do my whole life. Like, it's time to get myself in gear. And with that, also, as I said, like, I was having a hard time being there for myself. I was in the hospital. I was having the worst time in school. And I'm someone that's always, like, loved to learn and, like, loved to be in school. So that was also kind of making me feel worse and demotivating. Just because, like, it's hard if it's something that you've always loved, and also it's something I found validation in, and I know that's not necessarily the most positive thing, but it was something to learn from. But it is true, and that was something that was affecting me. So when I kind of had this internship, not only did I have, like, my parents being like, do you really think you can do this, I was kind of thinking that. My therapist were like, I don't think you should do this, but I don't really have gut feelings that much. Unless it's a test and I changed my answer to the wrong answer and I knew that I shouldn't have changed it. But other than that, like, I don't really feel like I have that many gut feelings. However, as I said, this is work that I've always wanted to do, something I felt called to do, I had to do almost, and like I just wanted to. But also because if I couldn't do this, something that I wanted to so dang badly, how the heck was I going to do anything else? How was I going to go to school this year, be a senior, and repeat, like, do that and face myself and prove to myself that I can work after all this time where I haven't really been able to properly? What is it going to take to prove to myself that I actually can circle back and get the momentum back? And that was kind of taking a leap, dropping the baby bird out of the tree and letting it fly. And like, there was definitely an adjustment period. Transitions are very, very difficult for me, as they are for most people. I also was like the only high schooler and the youngest person, obviously, but I was told there was going to be other high schoolers. There wasn't. Everyone else was in law school. Okay. Granted, it was the first time I kind of validated myself and being like, hey, you got this for a reason. You've wanted to do this forever. Like, you're here, so if you're doubting yourself, you better prove to yourself you can do it and your superiors that you can do it. But also, like, you got this. Come on. So that was kind of the first time, I validated myself. B, I kicked myself in the ass to, like, get myself together and do something. And also, I kind of proved to myself and my family that I could do something greater than just me, and not just like at the time my vanity or my mental health, but something that I've always wanted to do, a real dream. Like, I've put so many things like that on pause. I've had to put college on pause. I repeated junior year, all these things because of my mental health, and that was a choice that I made, and I kind of grieve those choices in different ways and in waves for sure. However, I lost my train of thought. Right, I grieve those things in waves. However, because of that, I was at kind of a lower trough in this, and it got me going. And then I went to senior year. You know that quote that's like, it's going to be senior year, but better. I don't remember what it's from, but that was what I was going into. That was my energy for, what is it? Senior year, right. Yeah, it didn't work out. Basically, some silly things happened, and I had to leave my old new school. Ow! Whoops. But hey, let me tell you something. It's okay. It didn't feel okay for a little. Like, I'm not going to lie. I had, like, after switching schools, I thought I'd found a place that was, like, really good for me, and I met this teacher who I was really close with. I'd resumed art in a way that was, like, very, very healing for me, emotionally, socially, whatever, and it was just a great escape and all these things. So there was a lot kind of going on there, and I was like, what is going on? Again, after I had this great internship, and I felt kind of on top of the world, it kind of came crashing down, and the whole school year, I kind of was, like, deteriorating, and after last year, it was, like, a slog after the hospital to get through junior year, for the second time. But I finished my college applications, I gotten them in, right? But I got kicked out. Kind of. Not really. I got them in. But then I left. And I had to take back all those. I had to email my schools and be like, hey, hello. Change of plans, besties. I'll be back, but bye for now. Ciao for now, Arizona. And that was weird. I'm not going to lie, but I did it. I'm fine now, and I'm going back. I'm going back to school in a week, and I'm so excited. I'm scared. I'm, like, really, really anxious. But I miss learning. I miss being social in a normal capacity, and a lot of other things. But I'm excited. Also, again, it's another chance to prove to myself. I'm going back to the place, like, to the school I left in the first place, because there were a lot of bad memories and bad juju there, we'll say. So this is kind of a chance to prove to myself, like, hey, you are stronger than your memories. You're stronger than the people that aren't even there anymore, and, like, these misconceptions you have and everything in your head. And when I was younger and growing up, like, okay, not even when I was younger, since fourth grade when I failed a math test and I lied about it and cried, all the way to like literally when I left school, I would have all these anxious dreams. I'm really scared I was gonna be killed outside, like really weird, but all like related to school and stress. And then I stopped, and those dreams stopped, and it was really weird. And then as of like a week ago, when I'm like trying to get into the holiday spirit and like go back to school, all of a sudden they start again, and I'm like, oh, it's absolutely related to school. And like school, as much as it is something that I love, it is something that I have the worst test anxiety. It really stresses me out. Social things, there's a lot there that I've kind of created for myself, like this bubble around my head, this cloudy thunderstorm of a bubble, and that's not good, but it's time to face that. Come on, dog. So I triple dog dared myself to go back. My parents, when I told them like this is what I want to do, because I looked in the city, I looked at other places, but it felt like not a cop out, but I knew that I knew I was capable of going back, and I knew I'd kind of, sorry for the for the microphone. I knew that I was kind of holding myself back, and if I find that if I say I'm running, right, and I like get tired and the first wind, if I cut myself off, I'm never starting again. If I cut off my momentum, I'm done. I have to push myself a little further. I think that's true for most people, but like I always thought I was a wimp, a quitter, and I don't think I was. I just think I never ever really pushed myself to the point of feeling like whatever runner's high is, or like kind of the adrenaline of getting through a really big challenge and things like that. And so I never knew it was worth it, or like that it was even possible for me. But now, as like with the summer, and also when I went to the hospital, I made friends, like best friends, right? And like that was so special and important, and just kind of I validated a lot of things to myself that I hadn't been able to before. And so in culmination of all those things, I want to push this momentum forward, and I want to go back to school and give myself the momentum to like go to college with kind of the confidence that not just in my personality, but in, again, it's my thoughts, it's my anxiety, it's not really anyone else in the beginning. So that was kind of something I latched onto. And then I kind of paused when he said that, because I was like, oh, I didn't, and this was someone I wasn't really close to. So I was like, whoa, why do you kind of, like, know that? B, kind of weird thing to say. C, thank you for, like, saying I'm chill. Like, I don't know, because, like, I don't know, making friends has always been a really hard thing for me. And so this was kind of like a new friend that I was hanging out with, and it was early on talking to him, and, like, it was just really sweet in a weird way. And I know it sounds bad, but part of that is to say, like, don't let yourself become those perceptions of yourself or that other people put onto you, whatever it may be, because, like, and I know that's literally the hardest thing, like, that is the problem, right? Like, what is the solution? Kind of fake it till you make it. Again, easier said than done, but I can't say anything other than that. Like, I was talking with other people, and, like, they were saying that I seemed very confident to them. And I think I laughed in their face, and I said, me? Little old me? Ciao. No. Ciao. Like, stop. Chill with that, because no. But thank you. Stop, because now I am a bit more, like, I wouldn't be where I am, like, making these podcasts or making these videos without feeling somewhat more confident in myself. And like I said, like, I made these new friends in the hospital, and, like, these people that I met, like, really touched me in a way that it gave me the confidence to, like, continue with these things. So shout out everyone there. I'm not gonna violate HIPAA, but thank you guys, because there was one time where we were sitting in group and people were like, you should start a podcast. I was like, oh, little do you know, I kind of have one, but I don't post on it because I feel silly. And they're like, no. And I'm like, not saying that was, like, valid, but just to have someone, I didn't, like, have anyone to say, give me the push before and kind of say, like, you're doing something. And another kid over the summer from my school was very nice about it, and, like, I thought he was bullying me. He wasn't. So shout out you. But yeah. So don't become your perception of yourself or other people unless you think you're really litty, but don't let it get to your head. Anyways, this goes with my internship. I didn't even finish this, so I got this confidence from it. But as I said, I was with all these older people, right? And that was, like, kind of freaky. So I think I got really scared, and this kind of led to part of my downfall. And I think I stopped myself, like I kind of regressed my age a bit, and like I tried to stop growing up in a way, and I think that led to this like downfall of where I am now with like school a bit and things like that, because I just got so frazzled, and like I felt split, and half of me was like, you can do this, and the other half of me was me like, why are you lying to yourself? You've been lying, like you're gonna die, like literally, like stop, like I'm gonna call animal pest control on you, like what are you doing? And I think I just kind of like boop exploded at that point, and now we're here. Hey besties, thanks for being here, and that's okay. But I was like talking with one of my friends, and part of that like age regression was like being very very isolated and avoiding talking to people and things like that, naturally, as depression does. But we got to break through that, right? Because I wasn't like connecting with people my own age, and being out of school for a bit, I was also much more isolated physically and socially, just as the facts were. And so I was really having to push myself to get through that and say like, hey, I'm still a person, I want to connect with people. And like I never feel like I'm the age I am, if that makes sense, because I think growing up is really scary, and I've felt maybe 15 or 16 for the like 14 even for the longest time. But I'm not at all. And part of that, and like this year, what I forced myself to do was to celebrate my birthday, which I know sounds weird, but like to kind of not prove to myself that like I actually am an adult, but also to like thank myself for everything this year, and kind of being here for myself this year. And this wasn't gonna be my plan. I haven't celebrated my birthday, I think, properly for like, again, like 45 years. That's also because people like didn't want to celebrate, but then I stopped on my own, and that was my fault. Okay, anyways. But this year my mom made like a joke, I say with finger quotes, saying like she was surprised that I made it to this birthday. She's so silly. And here's the thing, I can make jokes like that, and I have, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't, but I do. Whatever. As it's said in Clue, it's a coping mechanism. Anyways, she said that, and like that kind of stunned me for a sec. Like the woman was too stunned to speak, and I did have to pause and be like, whoa, okay, I knew that, but like that made me really sad hearing it from her, obviously. But and I was like, I guess I realized I normalized this kind of like macabre sense around myself, and I can tell that makes my parents sad, but it also makes me sad, and my brother, and whatever. And so it's not just for them, but I decided as a way to kind of say, like, I also didn't think that, so let me really thank myself for being here and the year I've had, and going back to school, and like all this stuff that's happening, and whatever. And I decided to celebrate with one of my friends who I kind of like reunited with this year, and it made me so happy. And that's another lesson of the year, is just like freaking reach out to people. Are you kidding? Like another friend I reached out to, and like we hadn't talked for a year because there were some issues, but we all mature and we forgive and we learn and we talk, and it's really healing, because like I said, I didn't really have all these people that I could talk to, with also switching schools and going in a later grade. And I was also older, so for whatever reason, I didn't have that many people I was close to, and like I didn't really have anyone to hang out with outside of school. So that was really, really hard. So like I kind of needed, not that I like just reconnected with these people because of that, but I was talking to these people every day in my head, and I missed them. And I think at that point I was like, yeah, we stopped being friends in the moment for a reason, but that does not mean that reason is forever. And if I've changed, and if I think I've changed, and if I've, done all this work on myself, what's to say that this other person hasn't, right? And so why not give it a shot, and let's go into it with the mindset of like, kind of remember what's happened before. You have don't have the blinders you had on in middle school and earlier in high school when you let everyone just kind of walk all over you. Like, but also remember, people change. If you give yourself the grace to change, that extends to other people. And it's not fair to kind of not let that happen to other people. Obviously, take this with a grain of salt. If you're like considering, I guess, reaching out to someone, like, it, you know, I did this with the help of kind of other people in my life, just like as for support, I mean, but also, you know your situation better than I do. Thanks. So back to the person, the first person I was talking about who I hung out with again. They are someone who like really helped me when I was in, I guess, like a harder part of my life, like 2 years ago. And so part of that was I wanted to just like thank them so much for that, because I felt like I never really had thanked them for just being such a solid friend. And but it was also, I felt comfortable hanging out with this person after not hanging out with people for so long. That being said, though, we went to Target as we always do, and I was waiting there for them to like show up. And the way I wanted to leave and like run out and like kind of like how I feel about not wanting to go back to school, like I'm so close, they're 2 minutes away, right? And I want to leave, but I know that I should stay, because when I did in Target with my friend, I was making the best memories. I met all these new people even, and like just push myself to the limits in great ways and have all these happy laughs and memories and belly laugh in a way I haven't in years and until my abs hurt, like things like that. And so I'm pushing myself to go back to school in the same way, even though I'm kind of really scared, and I think that's okay, because I also think fear is a good thing, because at times, in a healthy amount in moderation, as they say, because too much of anything is going to cripple you, and too much fear obviously turns to anxiety and can be a panic attack or whatever. But also I think it reminds me that like there is something that I care about. There is a bit at stake. And that's important for me to remember, that this is something I really enjoy and care about, and I'm not doing it for other people. I'm not just doing it for the diploma. I'm doing it because I love history and English, and I want to go back or whatever, and all these things, and I have this future, like I want to do more law things in the future or this summer, and work on that and for myself. And it's really important to me, like I said, to prove that that I can do that, not only for these like more academic and career-like reasons, but also it applies, like I said, to the social and to every other thing in my life. It's kind of weird, but it's also really lit. It's been a very introspective year. Like I think also with all my walking I've done, peep on walk, that's been an added layer. But yeah. Another added layer, and something I never really do, like my birthday, is making a New Year's resolution. Guys, last year I made a New Year's resolution to go on my phone list, and let me tell you, I succeeded. Oh yeah, I say as I'm recording a podcast. Basically, here's the kicker. So we had a speech contest in like January at school, and I made a speech. Social media is not your psychiatrist, kind of talking about like the prevalence of like self-diagnosis and like romanticization of kind of mental health issues and depression and oneness and groupthink and all these things, and like eating just whatever, and how just like a lot of social media can promote those things, even though they can be a good, hello, they can also do dangers. And so my speech was kind of about that. And then I remember one day I was walking with my friend at school, and I just like deleted TikTok, because I was like, well, I might as well act on this. Like I also made a resolution basically a few weeks earlier, like I don't want to be on TikTok as much. I want to be using my phone in more mindful ways, not that the phone's all bad, because like here we are, but be more mindful with how I use it, I guess, and not doom scroll or necessarily try to expose myself less to the things that I know are harming me or that could potentially be harming me. So acting on that was really important. And then with that, over the summer, I was like going on my phone less naturally, but I also deleted like Instagram and Snapchat. And there's two things I learned from that. One, no one in my generation apparently wants to communicate like with anything other than Snapchat, so I didn't really have much contact with people. Whoops. Anyways, shout out to the people that did talk to me. Very appreciated. There were like these two guys from school that like weirdly were like, not weirdly because they're nice, but like we're the only two really to like keep talking with me. Didn't really expect that, but real ones. Thank you, guys. Shout out to everyone. Just be a nice person, okay, and like give everyone a chance. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Anyways, so part of that was like, yeah, people aren't really texting, and maybe I have to make more of an effort. I don't know, but so there was that, and then also kind of realizing you have to kind of sometimes accommodate other people's needs. So if I'm sad about the fact that I'm not hanging out with people, right, maybe I should do something about that and like get on Snapchat, at least just for that. So there was, I think, maybe 5 months, like I wasn't really using my private story as like a former serial private story, or sorry. I like really kind of stopped because I realized just seeing other people from my town and my original school hanging out was making me like, ooh, not happy. So that was one thing, but I also was reaching out to people that I didn't really talk to as much as other people, and that allowed me to make some awesome friends. Like I had a new person in my English class this year. Shout out Eva. And like so lit. Like I'm so happy. I don't know. I think it's just really important to, if you think, even if you just feel in your gut like, ooh, there could be like a soul spark little connection, go for it. Why not? Because the world is full of really, really awesome people, and like, okay, get to know each other. Now, let's talk about Emily's media of the year. 2024 was full of some fabulous films, music, TV, etc. However, we're going to be taking it back, kind of, but also looking forward and looking to right now, because we are going to be talking about my media of the year, which is every version of I'm sorry, I'm so excited. Every version of Cabaret, or I Am a Camera, or whatever you want. Basically, if you don't know, Cabaret is a musical which started as a book called I Am a Camera, which is about kind of the Nazification of Berlin, but also looking at the changing attitudes in Berlin as that was happening in regards to gay people and Jews, and just more of like a liberated sexual world, because, you know, Berlin was kind of this safe haven for all these different people, and like the showgirls and etc. And it was just a very liberated place, and you know, the show does a really good job, I think, at reflecting not even the hidden corruption, but the normalization of corruption. And I think there's a reason that it's kind of popping out again. It's popping out. It's being made into all these adaptations now. I think there's a lot of parallels that can be drawn in terms of people's attitudes and kind of turning a blind eye, or even, you know, there's so much humor used in it to cope that I think is wonderful, but also, you know, hearing the audience laugh at certain things, and like the punchline in If You Could See Her Through My Eyes, for example, like as someone that like already knows it's coming, I like I know it's a comedic bump, but also like chill, ladies and gents and germs, like what are we doing? Okay, like please okay, sorry. But yeah, I think there's so many parallels kind of that can be drawn to now, and like at any time, you know, in the 70s when it was coming up again, or earlier in the 2000s when it's getting remade, in the 60s, like in the 90s, it's at all these times where there's like big insurgences of some sort of, whether it be like political movement or social dilemma or anything like that. And I think the people respond to that really interestingly. So if you have not read Cabaret, seen the movie, seen the musical of any sort, there are so many versions of it, and I think that's part of the greatest thing, because it's such an interpretive musical or movie or whatever, book, whatever. But so going through all these different versions, you see so many different adaptations, and there's a really convoluted history with it. I really recommend everyone, like, please just do everything you can to absorb it and learn about it, because it is so cool, and I think very important for the time we're in. I got my family hooked, and it's really fun and interesting to talk about, and I think there's a lot of lessons. Also, if you like Liza Minnelli, hello, hi Joel Grey, hi 70s, watch that version, but literally all of it's amazing. Adam Lambert's currently in New York City doing it, and it's just wonderful. Wunderbar. So yeah, that was my media of the year. Now we're going to be getting into my medium of the year. Now, as I said, I had this amazing art teacher. The price is indeed right. Good one. Because I had the best art teacher the last year and a half. Well, I had to say kind of Baidu, sadly. Yeah. But he imparted on me the beautiful gift and healing techniques of art. And I'm not an artist, but I am an art ally. As he says, I think it's funny because like I don't think I'm the greatest artist or whatever, but I've always loved to craft and do art and things like that. So it was really healing for me and kind of like something I found a lot of joy and calm and serenity in, and just like I said, healing and getting back into. And also it was a way to prove to myself like I can do these things that are bigger than what I thought. Like I made this kind of big painting of a picture that I took, and I never expected myself to finish something like that, but I did. And it doesn't look perfect, but I did prove to myself I could do something, which is pretty cool. And he just gave me a lot of external confidence to try other stuff that I'm not necessarily, feeling that adept to, because anything's applicable, any skills transferable in a way of like I might not know how to unclog a toilet, but if I do that, maybe I almost dropped my phone, maybe I'll think like I can, I don't know, use a forklift, right? I got my forklift license. Anyways, my media of the year, there's 3, includes Fabric, Fiverr, and YouTube/video/audio. Okay, right? Because I got back into my sewing machine. Like, I literally brought it into the building, and like then I was like, and was like, I need to make all these costumes. So we've been getting into sewing, and then with Fiverr, I've also been doing a lot of crochet and making little like dolls or whatever thingies, and some clothes even, which has been really, really cool and so fun. I feel so cool. I like to make patches for things or like cool jeans, spray paint on some jeans. It's pretty fun. And then, as I said, I got back into like my YouTube game and the podcast stuff. So when I was in like 3rd grade and 6th and 7th grade, I had YouTube channels, right? And like a lot of them are craft oriented or like skits and stuff, but I got flamed because obviously, right? Not obviously, but like people are mean. That's okay. You're putting yourself out there. But as I said, I somehow discovered confidence this year, just a bit, at least enough to at least start this again and feel secure enough in myself that I can watch myself edit while I'm editing or listen to myself, in my voice and not like want to, plug my head and rip the wires out of my earbuds and such and delete Bluetooth off the face of the earth. And that's been really cool. It's also, I don't know, as I said, I have had a harder time socializing because I've been away from people. So talking like into a camera, even for a YouTube or doing art and things like that, has been a really fun way kind of just to get myself talking a bit more and processing. And also my blog, like putting things out there that help me heal and process, is super, super important to me. Because I don't know, back when I was a child, back in the good old days when I was in elementary school and a wee little tot, they said, Emily's so smart, Emily's so cool, but can she shut up? She talks too much. Emily's really lit and cool and smart, but shh, she talks too much. That was always my thing. So rather than getting in trouble, maybe now I can make something out of this for myself. And here's my podcast. I'll put the YouTube channel down below. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you want more videos. I hope you have a great 2025. I'm so grateful that I kind of like can even do this and there's somewhere that I can post just talking to a void. I don't know who's out there, but like this is really kind of important for me, I think. So thanks world for existing, I guess. And thanks to this microphone that my ex got me. Anyways, happy 2025. Bye. Follow onward.